The hip hinges of motion, or deadlift type of motion, is one that we don't mess around with. Okay, we have to do it right, or else don't do it at all. And the thing we like to say is, first you start off with the hips. The movement is all about with hip motion. So notice that here, I'll just do a quick demo before we show some examples of good and bad. Is that notice that first off, when I'm going down, the bar never leaves my body. Okay, we're only going to go to a hang position. Now, when you come up, make sure that it starts with the hips. I've seen common faults that people do is that when they come down and start their way up, they start to pull with their back. Notice that, again, hips drive first, and also when you come down, the hips go first as well. Another common fault, which you'll see on some of these examples, is number one, the bar never leaves the body. Or the bar should never leave the body. If the bar leaves the body at all, then you have a high risk for back injuries. Second is we see that people will go far beyond their capabilities or where their hamstrings will tighten. Now, I like to use the hamstrings as a good gauge of where you should stop. You'll notice that my knees don't bend a whole heck of a lot, but right now I feel my hamstrings feel pretty darn tight. And if you look real close on the video, you can probably see my knees start to shake. It's because my hamstrings are tight. But if I was to go any further, I would basically be adding what we call lumbar spine or spine motion. Okay? I don't care about how deep you can go. I care about how safe you can make it. And right here, this is fairly safe. The spine is fairly straight. And I'm engaging the posterior chain. When I come up, the timing is going to be slow. And when you hit about this point, it's going to be a quick drive forward and an exhale. Okay? So slow on the way down. Pause. Engage the butt cheeks. Slow and I'll do it again a few more times. And that's a hip hinge.
Now first, when you pick up the bar, it should slide all along your shins and your thighs. We're going to start with some normals here. Notice that the feet are about shoulder width apart. Going to slide down, keeping the back straight, looking off to the horizon, and the bar is not really going beyond the knees. Most people, this is the level they're going to attain. They don't need to go much more than that. There are very flexible people out there who will go a little bit further. However, for the most part, you're looking to slide down, feel the hamstrings tighten, almost the knees will almost shake, and then you stand up, contract the core, contract the abdominal area, contract the glutes, and exhale very forcefully, such as with the breathing Lewitt exercise. Here's an example of a little too much knee bend on the right side. Notice the kneecaps are well past the toes. The example on the left, he's staying centered over the feet, and more or less he's going to feel like his body weight, or if he's going to feel like he's going to fall backwards, which is perfectly fine in this exercise, just to feel the effect of almost falling backwards. Now we're going to show some faults, and this is the worst of them. The absolute worst is keeping the bar off of the body. By the time you're done, you should be able to scrape or see lines on your thighs and shins, such as the girl on the left will have. And the person on the right is going to have higher potential for back injuries, disc injuries, and a lot. And actually they're going very deep as well, a little too deep. Here's an example of how it should look with the back being straight on the left. The pole should touch the head, the mid-back, and the butt region. On the right, you see we're starting to normalize back to a normal hip hinge type of movement. This is an example of lifting with mainly the back. As he goes down, you'll see his chest rise first before the hips move forward. Here's an example of good on the left, bad on the right. This sway back appearance on the right, or in the main screen now, is something that will cause back pain very quickly. You got to make sure in this exercise, if you're going to do it, your movements are very pure. The hip guides the movement forward and backwards, and exhale, embracing the abdominal area is very important.
Now some modifications for this, or actually a good starting point rather, is to start with a stick, or something that doesn't weigh anything, hardly anything. And I can tell you that people in my office, I show with a stick and they can't figure it out. Alright? This is not putting them down, but for the most part, it's a movement that a lot of people have forgotten how to do. A lot of people have forgotten how to squat. There's a lot of people that forget how to move, period, especially under load. So here's what I recommend, is that if you can't figure it out with a stick, then you can't advance. Alright? You can't put weight on it. And actually, for that matter, everybody that goes beyond a stick has to prove to a strength and conditioning coach, or someone like myself, that they can do it safely. Now this exercise, when done properly, is one of the best ones I've found for low back conditions, lower extremity pain, running injuries, and so on. However, if you can't do it properly, then you're going to hurt yourself. Alright? People that have had disc injuries and back conditions and so on actually get worse from this type of exercise, especially when doing it incorrectly. And I can't tell you how many times I've walked through a gym and seen people do it poorly and thinking they're going to end up in someone's office one day. So, again, I can't stress this enough. Go find a strength and conditioning coach, get some sessions in, learn how to do it, and learn how to do it right. If you learn how to do it, it'll be very beneficial going long term. Now, guidelines and goals to set is going to be about 3 to 6 months for most people. If you're in fairly good shape or you're a weekend warrior, the type of fitness you should get to in this type of exercise, or you should shoot for, is for men. You should look for about 1 time your ideal body weight. Again, if you're a 250-pound guy, but you should be 150 pounds, you should be able to deadlift around about 150 pounds before I would deem you okay to go participate in a weekend warrior type of sport. For women, I'd look for about 75% again. Again, these are very rough guidelines, but for 150-pound women, or ideal body weight 150 pounds, you should be able to do about 115-ish. Now, a lot of these guidelines I put in here, you might think, whoa, that's kind of high, I don't want to do that much. But the reason why I put these in is for a goal for you to shoot for. Again, it can be long term. Mainly because I can't tell you how many people that I've run into, weekend warrior types of people, that think that doing a lunge or a squat, doing it with 10 pounds or just their body weight is enough. And it's not enough. And you need to strive for a little bit more. If you want to stop injuries and play better, even into your older years, this is the type of goal you should be shooting for.